how do you define success? And I was like, getting up there in age, I got a little bit more gray hair and I'm going, I don't think zeros and commas define success. And it's probably why I'm a successful discontent. And so I went to work on that. I'm a researcher. I love inventing things. And I went to seek out the best support structures for high achieving men.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Book More Show. It's Stuart Bell here, and today joined by Gary Kadi. Gary, how you doing?
Oh man, Stuart, I am pumped to be here. What a ride it's been, brother. What a ride.
I'm excited as well. So Betsy, a lot of people listening will have known Betsy. She's on the podcast occasionally, and obviously all of our clients know Betsy because she's holding people's hands through the process. So Betsy, for the last couple of months, is saying, "Oh, as Gary's book gets towards the end, we've got to have him on the show because he's got such great energy, and it's going to be one of those shows." So I'm excited to share as well. Why don't we start off by giving people a bit of a background on you and what you do and set the scene for everyone who hasn't met you yet, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. My main business for 30 years has been developing dental practices. We've worked with over 6,000 dental practices. As you know, dentists don't know how to run their own business. And I have a soft heart for entrepreneurs, and especially ones that don't know what they're doing and they know they don't know what they're doing. So I codified a methodology and we installed it in over 6,000 practices. And we're also rolling up practices. All of our practices, that we're in a consolidation in our industry, Stuart. So we develop practices, we position them for sale, and then we package them. We have our own group and we sell them to private equity firms, and they're getting, multiples that are, well beyond what they can get on their own. So I love serving people and blowing people away beyond expectation, and have been able to do that in dentistry my whole career. It's been a joy. And my team, I like to take care of my team, and I created an ESOP, an employee stock option plan, and sold the company to a trust. And my team owns 51% now, which would have never
Oh,
happened. And it's a
fantastic.
beautiful play for me because it's a nice exit strategy for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. And now I was bored and I wanted to take on something new and something I'm really passionate about. I was fat, angry, drunk. My wife wanted to throw me out. My son didn't want to, be in the same room with me. My team hated me. And so I realized that it was just my fear, deep-rooted fear, shame, and guilt. And I just took that on. I'm going to be 17 years sober this year, Stuart, and I'm real proud of that. It's probably my biggest accomplishment. And I didn't do it alone. That was the great part. See, there's so many lessons in pain and suffering. And I lived, here I am, an entrepreneur. Making all this kind of money, but my wife hates me. I'm fat. I'm angry. All this. I'm like, what the hell
It's
is
not a win across
success?
the board. Right,
Right. I'm like,
exactly.
what the hell? How do you define success? And I was like, getting up there in age, I got a little bit more gray hair, and I'm going, I don't think zeros and commas define success. And it's probably why I'm a successful discontent. And so I went to work on that. I'm a researcher. I love inventing things. And I went to seek out the best support structures for high achieving men. And I couldn't find many. And the ones I found were boring, horrible, it's too complicated to understand. They were all over the place. So I found a guy who taught me about health in a simple way. Sachin Patel, he's my partner in this endeavor. I lost 50 pounds, kept it off. I'm a street kid from Jersey. I don't know how to deal with money. I mean, I knew how to make money in a business, but I didn't know how to keep it because I would spend it all. Panerai watches, 911s, houses with long driveways. I thought that was the whole jam, right? And it wasn't. And now I have 8-figure net worth, which is beyond my wildest dreams. I'm a street kid from Jersey who came from nothing. And, my wife and I we're like teenagers. And I'm like, that's nuts, Stuart. Like for
Yeah.
me to sit here and have that happen, like I can't wait to see my wife. She can't wait to see me. We travel the world. We're global citizens. It's fun. Another big accomplishment was my son was diagnosed with autism at 3, and we went to work on this. And this is when I learned everything's possible in the face of anything that we're dealt with. There's always a solution if you look for that solution. I believe that too. And he's now off the autism spectrum. And this kid He was flapping his arms. I was reading Goodnight Moon every night. And my wife goes, he's in there. Keep reading to him. He's like, didn't know. He's looking around. He's, looking at bright lights and fans spinning. And one day we're driving home here in Arizona, and there's this big harvest moon, Stuart. And my wife and I are driving after a night of dinner, and all of a sudden we hear
Yeah.
moon. We're like, what the heck is that? My son's first word. And now,
That's such a, I mean, talk about a reward for the tenacity of sticking in there.
well,
Makes
an
it real.
interesting thing is we declare ourselves and we become it. See, I was saying my son was autistic. My wife said he was diagnosed with autism.
Right. Yeah.
See, we start declaring things and become them. And when you do that with yourself and you do that with others, you're doing everybody a disservice. It's like speak to them as they ought to be, as who they are in the future, bigger. And like once I started separating that, here's my son who was speech delayed at 5. Like his first word was at 5. He's now at the Cronkite School of Journalism, going to be a play-by-play sports broadcaster. He just called the D1 game for Arizona State against the
Talk about
D1.
not being limited by the other people's diagnosis.
And so how often does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? How often? And then like breaking the patterns that our brain tells us. I call it the unevictable inner roommate, Stuart. Like,
Right.
no, I didn't
It's
realize
the little
like,
voice that's there.
and I became that voice. I'm not that
Right.
voice. I had no clue. I thought that voice was me. And then I learned there's thoughts and then there's my thoughts. And if I buy those thoughts and believe in them, I become them. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
No, not doing
No,
that.
that idea that separate out just because the thought is in there doesn't give it any more validity than anything else. To take a second to think about the thinking, I wish that was taught in school and allows people to just break away from, or at least even if they choose not or don't feel that they can break away from it, at least be aware that it is not the same thing and that there is an alternative.
Exactly. So, I've lived a life of suffering, and suffering is an extreme gift. I didn't know the gift of desperation. My wife handing me my walking papers, my team telling my clients to ask for refunds. I had to come up with all the money, and these consultants went out and took all the clients, and I had to generate ridiculous amounts of cash to pay off all the refunds. Like I didn't know that was me being an ass that created
Right.
all that. I was like,
I mean, it's interesting that you took it as a wake up call and not double down, because I can imagine another person being just reinforced in that idea and not taking it as an opportunity to look for change. Did all of those things kind of happen at about the same time? And was it one kind of moment of realization that
good
powered that
point.
change?
There's pinch points, I call them. And these pinch points are real gifts. Like '08 was like a real good, what I call pinch points. It's like a wake up call. It's like everything's going to happen. Wife wants to give you the walking papers. My son is like 3 years old and like in the midst of his autism. And like we're moving from Arizona to New York. And I have a lease and all these employees before remote working was happening. I'm moving to New York and I can't sell my house in Arizona because they're worth zero in Arizona back after,
Yeah,
the
after
real estate
eight.
crash.
Yeah,
And I'm going, you know, it didn't happen to me, which I thought it was happening to me. It happened for me. But it's that little nuance that when we realize, I love pinball, man, old school pinball, not the
yeah,
video pinball, but like when you're flippering it up and you're trying to keep the ball up in the pinball, like, and
yeah.
it's too much and life is becoming unmanageable, there's a reason. And I love this. This is my favorite thing. I realize that I am the source of all my problems. I caused or invented. When you take 100% of responsibility, because I was a blamer, I was a
Right.
denial guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, because I was high powered. I mean, I kicked ass. I mean, get me something to do. I got this book done and start to finish out the door. I hope I beat a record. It was like 4 months from conception to print. I hope did anybody beat that record? Because I'm proud of getting shit done, man.
And the way that you got it finished, to the extent that you got it finished, is, well, we've had a couple of shorter ones, but they were
Okay.
probably slightly earlier drafts. For you to have got
Okay.
it done and revised to the extent that we're kind of like full print and ready to go, not just the digital version, then yeah, I think there's some award-winning turnaround and focus.
Can you tell I'm a little competitive? I like winning the game. I like playing the game. But I also learned about myself, like through these pinch points. They're all gifts to learn about what's working and not working. And the big
Right.
thing for me was I was self-centered. I was doing it for myself. I didn't ask for help. I was, I was like right all the time, self-righteous. Like if you're willing and open, like I don't have to be right about everything. See, a competitive guy, when I studied Myers-Briggs, a competitive guy is autocratic under pressure. When you get autocratic, I was killing people off.
Right. Yeah.
So you don't
If
learn
you,
that if you're not in pain, you know?
yeah. And as you say, if you're insistent, not resistant on that a particular idea, and you've only got your own opinion in there, I mean, how many times have some it's well known because we're all remote. So it's well known that we have to deal with things remotely, and the office will call me trying to fix some technical problem because they're trying to just get things sorted out. And they'll say, "Oh, this is a silly question. I can't believe it." So I say, "Listen, there's no such thing as silly questions. There's only silly answers because we've all been kind of fixated on our own thing and really believe in the moment that we're correct, only to later believe something else, whether it's we've had a change of heart or the information's changed or the scenario's changed. But being so insistent on something and doubling down on that, on the occasion that you're right, it can work. And people refer to like these autocratic leaders like Elon Musk and Steve Jobs as, no, it's my way or the highway. But for the majority of situations, having the humility to take on other opinions and look for other opportunities, it's more likely that you're statistically more likely that you're not correct than you are correct. So, yeah,
Yeah.
having that openness to the team, and then they don't feel like you're an ass.
Exactly. But when I walked in a room, people were running for the hills. They were like, "Oh, this this
This
guy."
guy again. Yeah.
And I really have a big heart and I love people, but I was driven by my identity. My identity, like that I built up. Like I have to be successful or I'll die. I have to have
Right.
money or I will be in prison. I made up all these beliefs at a young age because I had a lot of trauma. My dad beat the crap out of me physically and mentally. Like if I got an A, I needed to get an,
Oh,
and
wow.
if I was off the rails, I was getting beaten when I got home from the belt. So I was telling myself, like I have this thing that I created in the book, actually for the book, the arc of a man. 1/3 of our life we spend proving to the people that gave us life, keeping the tribe alive, I call it. Like my dad ignored me. He wasn't at my all-star games. He never showed up at a baseball game. I was like, "Dad, see me, please." And I didn't know this, but this is
Right.
like I stepped back and zoomed out and figured all this stuff out. Now I put it in a way that men can understand it. So octagon number one is you with your parents, one way or the other. Octagon number two is you with your empire. I deal with all entrepreneurs. So it's like you're battling out with payroll and employees and can't hire them and all the BS that you got to deal with running a business. And then the last one, which I'm in and I cracked the bit of the code, but I'm cracking more every day. And I love being the guinea pig. I love going in there and like get my ass kicked because I know I can always come out the other side. See, I trust that. In the past, I would live in like impending doom and I would literally think I was dying. The last one is you against your identity ego.
Right.
And but it was there. All these things are there all the time. Like if you don't heal the first one, you're working to prove, and it's very unfulfilling. That's why I was making a shitload of money, but I was very unfulfilled.
Not feeling
The
good. Yeah.
middle one, if you don't get that one done right, life goes 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and then you're taking a dirt nap and you're like, fuck, what happened to, excuse my language. I don't know if
That's
we can
okay.
believe it. I'm like, life just passed by me and I'm going to be on my deathbed and I'm not going to do the things that I really want to do. And
Yeah.
that's the cost of that one. The last one is I tried to get out. I tried to get out of the middle of my business the whole time. I couldn't do it. I didn't realize it. It wasn't because my team wasn't capable. It was because my ego said nobody could do it like you. And the minute I sold and I didn't have to be in the day to day anymore, I panicked because I had no appointments on my schedule. I didn't know what to
Right. Didn't know what
do.
to do. Yeah.
It
All of
was
that
it was as
identity.
scary as
Right.
drinking.
Right.
I'm
All,
sorry for
it's all
cutting
of
you
that
off. I'm jacked
identity.
up.
Not at all. No,
You
no.
go.
People are here to listen to you, not
I'm
me.
done. I'm just so excited. I'm stepping on
And
you. I'm so sorry.
no, not at all. I was just going to say that realization that as you said before, the voice that's in your head and making sure, realizing there's a difference between just an electrical trigger that triggers a thought and an actual thought that you want to hold on to and live with. And then the calendar being filled up and the needing to be right in a meeting and needing to prove something to an unclear entity that you can never actually get validation from, particularly. I mean, all of those steps, it just builds to this thing that unless you address it, and even addressing it has challenges, but unless you address it, I mean, it's just you're chasing ghosts all the time. So, regardless of the bank balance, finding happiness in that is just a game of shadows.
Yeah, man. I'm sorry. You got me so jacked up, Stuart.
Well, and this is the passionate thing about the books that we're helping people write. It's the whether it is an emotionally charged book like yours, really trying to make a difference to people's lives, not necessarily in a day-to-day business sense, in a nuts and bolts way, but in more of a broader way, or it's someone passionate about, well, take us for example. I mean, the scorecard book that I'm using at the moment, the book Blueprint Scorecard, I'm passionate about that. The 8 ideas are in there, make a meaningful difference to people using books, and the scope of that is relatively small. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's probably not going to fulfill a life's passion in quite the same way. But within the scope of what it does, you get passionate about what you're delivering, and the opportunity to kind of bottle some of that passion and put it into the pages of a book and get it out there to share that knowledge with other people. It gets people on board the train, and that's exciting.
I want everybody to have the book that's, first of all, I think everybody has a book in them. And then I want everybody to know, like, I think I showed you. Let me show you this. These, I wrote these without you. I wrote
Yeah.
these without you. Self-published starting in '06. Okay. This thing took me countless hours, Stuart. And I was all on my own. I had some coaching here and there, but like, you know, what you did, like I have 3 books going with you right now. What you did and what Dean and you and Betsy and your team have done is it's miraculous to me. It literally but like it's not like this thing that got created as a business because Dean needed it to do it, but it's like every step of the way. Like I was more interested in your process because I'm
Right.
like, okay, do they really have a
Behind
structure
the
and a
scenes.
process?
Right.
Dude, I love systems and process because I
Yeah,
love
me too.
consistency, duplication. I like being able to spit out like everything I'm talking about. I put a system to for men, right?
Right.
Your process is extraordinary. Like I was sitting in Oslo, Italy. I had this idea for a book. I sign up. I speak to Betsy. I sign up. That night, I couldn't stop. Like she goes, "Oh, it should take 90 minutes to fill this out." I was so enraptured in the question. You ask the right questions so you can get the right answers for the content. But here's what I love about the process. It's all tied to lead generation and marketing. Because, how many Peloton bikes after the pandemic are sitting there not being used, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How many books don't even ever get read? I don't know what the stat is. I'm sure you know. But the thing about it is they buy the idea, raise your healthy deserve level. Then on the back, there's 10 things guys suck at and 10 things to do, feel better today. We built a funnel for that. And it's like richness. I don't have to touch a thing. It's just like they don't even have to read the book and they're already in the funnel,
Yeah.
cranking out, becoming a part of the community. It's masterful in terms of thinking through what is important. Like I used to think like this book is 200 pages. I thought every book needed to be 200 pages. No, here's my new thing. A flight. If I can't do it in a flight,
Yeah.
like, but as a first-time author, I thought I had to have knowledge and figure it
Yeah.
out and sound smart. And it ends up
Because
being
that's what
fluffy.
And that's what everyone else says. I think it's the thing that people forget the most is that the motivators for the publishing industry is book sales. So everything is around that. So if you're selling 200 pages on a shelf next to 500 pages, well, I mean, bigger looks better, but
Right.
that's not the context in which any of this is done. The
Right.
purpose that we're trying to do is get into conversation with people and help them understand that next step. Which goes back to, I'm a huge fan of frameworks as well. Whenever I talk to someone and they mention a framework, that's it. I can see their book and their funnel and their follow-up and their engagement and their onboarding. It's all there already. And that's what you've got with yours. It's these pieces that kind of clearly articulate the stages and the mindsets and knowing that each person is going to resonate with one more than another, but all of them kind of lead towards that next step.
Well, I just found out, and I love the way you say framework with your accent. Dude, that's way better than an American dude saying systems. Like framework, that's badass, dude. That sells, man. That's
It's going to
that
take over the world.
I want to buy that. And I understand. I just found out about this that you actually have marketing on the backside of the book. Like that's what you do. Is that accurate?
Yeah. That's why, I mean, the systems that I set in place to create the, like you were saying before, you love cracking the code. Same for me. The system that I put in place to take someone who walks through the door with the seed of an idea into a conversation starting book, that code has been cracked. Now we kind of refine it all the time, but we've kind of cracked that one. So the job of work of what people then do with it, okay, it's built, but now what? Sit back and wait for the door to start knocking? I mean, that's not going to happen. So using those elements of the book and helping people leverage what they've already created without not saying, okay, you've done this one, now here's a whole new world in which to enter. It's okay, how can we leverage these things that we've already done into something that orchestrates that journey? And that's that marketing piece.
Can you give me a little piece on that right now? Would you be willing to share that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So think about the idea that someone is going to raise their hand as interested. So the Life on All Cylinders book, so your book, the ideas that engage the people, there's 10 of them. There's 10 things that people do, and there's other things as well. But let's just say that the 10 to begin with. So running ads and identifying ads and having pull quotes and having snippets of this video when we talk about it and the book recording in the first place, those 10 things, if you wanted to run ads, that's 10 snippets to start the conversation. Here's piece one. Let us create a little bit of blurb to go around with it. It's a little bit more marketing copy to get people to raise their hand. The book is then the obvious opt-in for someone who wanted to raise their hand on one of those 10 elements. When they opt in, it's the minority of people who are going to take action straight away. So we want to give them a call to action for people to do immediately, those hottest people. But we also know that the others, it will take some time. Either, I mean, geez, when I look at my inbox, there's probably 50 things I would love to do if I had all the time in the world and got around to it. I just it fell off the radar. Another email came in and got pushed down. So an autoresponder sequence in the first 7 days after someone opts in, that's the opportunity to engage the next 10, 15, 20% of people who are hotter. So let's set up that autoresponder sequence. Okay, now we've got the long haul after that. We want to keep in touch with people until they're ready. And that might be weeks or months or even years. So from the book, we've got 120 or so pages in the book, 20 or so main themes in there. Let's record something quickly that talks about each of these pieces. And that could be follow-up material for a weekly email. And the call to action in that weekly email, one of Dean's things, a lot of people know Dean who are listening. So the idea of a super signature. By the way, Gary, here's 3 ways we can help you whenever you're ready. Go consume more information on our YouTube channel. We've got some deeper dives into these topics. Join our free community where we're talking about this as a group. And actually, to personalize it for you, we've got a breakout weekend coming up where we do this first step. So all of these things, and then there's a million other of them. One thing that we just started doing with people is the idea of having either an audio book version or an audio companion version, kind of 2 separate things, but having the audio version either of the whole book or have like a fireside conversation where we're doing kind of like the TLDR or the initial dive or the fireside chat where we talk about the content and use that audio as a bonus upsell opt-in, like an extra cookie in the cycle, because the material's already created, but maybe it's just that thing that someone will say, oh yeah, actually I can't read, but I've got time to read, but I'll listen to the audio. So all of these ideas downstream from the seed that's been created just gives a broad footprint of a broad coverage to lead people into this funnel and move them on. I just
Man, I
realized I
didn't
could
even
see
know about
myself.
this part. That's pretty
Right.
amazing. Well, thank
And
you.
it's, as you were saying, um, it's the separation of the thing from the purpose. So you used the example before, and I keep going back to it because it's such a message that resonates with me. The separation of the thought from what you do with the thought,
Yeah.
or the name in which something is given and what you do with that name. The framework that you've got with the dental practices, you talked before about the success you've got because you cracked the code with the first couple and then rolling that framework off. And there's implementation differences on all of them. But this idea of the thing and what you do with the thing, for us, it's the same. The book exists now. In a publishing world, that's the end of the journey. $15 for a book sale. Let's put it on Amazon. Let's maybe do like a little press tour gig thing, try and get someone USOs. But that's it. We're really just talking about book sales because as a publisher, that's your scope of, interest. But for this, the job of work of this is starting conversations, and the maximum amount of conversations that we can start, relevant conversations, and bring them through a funnel to conversion. Now you've got me going off on one.
I
The
love
passion it
it.
builds, right? And
It
I just
really
noticed how
does.
much I talk with my hands. I can see myself in the camera and I'm kind of
Well, it must be the Italian in you.
it's yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, but this idea, so the ideas that you brought together in the book, I always like to ask people because as you said, everyone's got a book in them, but that book isn't necessarily always kind of dialed in. You've got experience of all the books you've written in the past, so there's lots of different ideas. So when you think about the scope of this book and what you wanted to include and what you chose to exclude because it fit better outside of the scope of the book, how did that go? Was that an easy task to kind of dial it into what you wanted, or was it a challenge to either not do too much and not do too little?
Yes and no. I did business development for dental practice, and we still do. I'm still very involved. And to niche in that industry, my first book, this book, Million Dollar Dentistry, in its seventh edition, this is like almost 200,000 since '06 in distribution.
Right.
That's nuts of a niche business, a niche book, right?
Yeah.
But it was the nuts and bolts of a model that what didn't exist. And it's like Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. It's like you can't kill it's like no matter what year, what day, it still sounds relevant as hell. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's so good. The only thing I had to change was how much we paid employees back in the day, like each edition,
Right.
some of the analogies. But when I got to page 69, and I remember I wanted to kill it because I was doing a general book. And
Right.
what I did learn was I was like, there's riches and niches. And I know that for a fact, but like the identity part of my brain wants to go to every single human being, all 8 billion people. And so I've learned the lesson, Stuart, to the more narrow I go, the better. Now, what I was grappling with was entrepreneurs and C-level executives. That's what I got it down to. And it was hard for me to go like eliminate the C-level executives until I realized that we have 8 cylinders, 8 coaching sessions in our community that we built. So the book drives subscriptions, and then you get for $99 you get coached by the people that help me lose 50 pounds, make 8 figures, get off alcohol, the woman that parented helped us parent an autistic kid. Like, if you can parent an autistic kid, you use her tools to parent typical kids.
Yeah.
And you get 8 1-hour coaching sessions interactive each month. It's freaking
It's
ridiculous.
crazy.
But I'm delivering the fulfilling entrepreneurship exercise. And I realized that I don't have the business of talking about C-level executives. First of all, because I hate bureaucracy and I was never a C-level executive. And I've learned that I should only be coaching things that I've experienced for myself, not like an idea of something. So in like midstream, I had to extract, if you're like I kept saying, if you're an entrepreneur or a C-level executive, we in the middle of the writing, we had to extract all C-level executives,
Right.
and then I was like, I want women. And like, I know a lot of women leaders, by the way, my grandmother taught me, Stu, I just called you Stuart. I'm sorry.
No, that's
Sorry,
cool.
Stuart.
I've been called worse.
My wife is Judith, not Judy. So, I've learned my lesson.
No, I'm
Um,
fine. And since moving to the States, I've also lost the fact that it's Stuart. I'm fine with EW now as well. I let that one go a long time ago.
they sell good hot dogs and good French wrinkle French fries there at Stewart.
Right.
So check it out. It's really good. Anyway, My grandmother said at 6 years old, she said, find a great woman, do what she says, and your life will be amazing. And so I wanted to include women. And I found that the book is targeted to men, but I'm going to be going on podcasts for women about their husband, because women make decisions
Right.
for their husband and they go, here, honey, I got this book for you. Go see this dude. So I'm helping the man, the family, and the workplace, but I don't necessarily have to write the book for all those things. And
Yeah.
that was a real gift to
That's
understand.
that's really insightful. One of the framework ideas is this idea of beneficial constraints. It's the seventh one in there. And it really talks about there's a couple of constraints. One, as entrepreneurs, which most of us are listening to this, we've got the flexibility of not being told what to do or not really having to be accountable to anyone else apart from ourselves. But with that comes big problems, because if something slips, then okay, there's nothing. So artificially constraining the time scope is a great benefit because it gives you some guide rails, but also the subject. This idea that a traditional book is 200-300 pages long and everything has to be in there, and it's the tome, the magnum opus for any subject. It was never the truth in the first place, and even less now when there's so many auxiliary sources for information. But one that I hadn't really thought about before, heard people describe, is that one that you just mentioned. And to reiterate what you said, because I think it's very worthwhile for other people, is writing the book for the target audience, but knowing that the audience might not necessarily be the target, but you still have to be specific in the first place for that second degree group to realize the relevance. And that, I think, is because had you tried to include women in there, at worst it would have been inauthentic or wrong, and at best it would have been a bit kludgy and trying to put too much.
Well, I actually was going to have my wife, I was going to interview my wife and include her perspective. So,
Right,
yes, I could have done it, right?
right.
But I was like, because
The
here's the thing.
scope.
I want the number one thing is no judgment for men. Here's the thing. Howard Schultz, this is my vision for this. Howard Schultz said, I'm going to create a place between work and home, created Starbucks. That's why people go there, because there is no place to go in between. This
Right.
is a place to go between, like being a monk and living life full out. But there's no place for no judgment. See, men don't like I researched men. I was the first research project. We don't like raising our hand and asking for help. We definitely don't like therapy. We definitely don't like being told what to do. We don't like kibitzing with the boys. Let's go. Let me share myself with the boys. No, we go get drunk. We go play bowling, softball. It's like we get our
Talk
aggressions
about
out
work.
that way. Yeah,
Yeah,
talk about, we're not going, I am really sad right now.
yeah.
Like, no, but guys need to do that. I needed to do that. I couldn't declare the emotion sad. You know what it showed up as? Anger. See, anger squashed my sadness. I was really just sad and it came out as anger. And you know why anger worked? It was the same. Anger and alcohol are the same things, by the way. It's all adrenaline rush
Right.
to numb the body out from the pain that we're living in that's stuffed down. And then when you stuff it down, the reason why women outlive men is because we stuff down. And I believe in, psychosomatic issues where the body gets
Yeah.
the hit
Last
on.
cortisol levels and nothing else. If nothing else, I mean, that's
Exactly. And
detrimental.
I had no idea, dude. I had no idea what parasympathetic was. I was in fight or flight. I was in sympathetic. I woke up in the morning, threw my armor on, threw my mask on. I got to go to work. I got what fine hell, am I going to run into today? I got my
Yeah.
guns. I got my bear. I'm loaded for bear. I'm going to take shit out. Like, now, if you asked me to articulate that, I'd be like, I got to go to work today.
If we get nothing else from this podcast, I'm going to share these last 2 minutes with my wife because she'll be saying, "Yeah, that."
Well, no, they know, but we don't
Right.
listen to them. No,
Yeah,
do you know how many times
yeah.
women send men to their man to me? Like, that's how this all came out. I
Right.
have 20 something year olds, their moms send the kids, the young guys to me. And I have, like, my friends, 80% of my friends are suffering needlessly.
Yeah.
And their wives are sending them to me. I'm like, okay, I got to put this in a book. I'm sick of saying the same thing over and over.
Right.
And I'm
Read
not,
this first and then come back.
well, you know what it is? I don't have all the answers. I just I got sick and tired of suffering.
Right.
And I just go, who the hell knows more than I do? And then how do I put it all together in one place? And that's how this thing got built.
Yeah.
I'm an accidental expert on I hate pain and I'm sick of suffering. And guess what? I'm not going to be on my deathbed, Stuart, going, I wish I had more peace. I wish I would have done X, Y, and Z and had more peace. Everybody, I walked 5 of my closest family members to heaven over the pandemic.
Oh,
Every one of them did the same thing. They reconcile at their bed.
yeah.
Every single dude, I am not reconciling at my bed. You know what I'm doing? I'm running in at
Get
100
it?
miles an hour, going in sideways, going, fuck yeah.
Yeah. Jumping across the finish line. Yeah.
and saying, I live with no regrets, no shame and guilt, none of that shit. And
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, and like once I realized that's possible for me, I go, my job is to give it away as many men as possible. And I'm going to do it to 50,000. I don't know how I'm going to reach 50,000. I know with your marketing and this book, I got a better shot at it. In fact, I'm pretty confident that I know I'm going to reach a lot of men with this message because they're silently suffering. I know the guys that get straight with me and open up to me. I help a lot of guys get sober too, Stuart. And they start opening up to me because they know I'm safe. See, the number one thing is no judgment zone. That's what I'm creating in this community. And I'm
Yeah.
going to offer one thing to guys. They don't even need the answer. The fact that nobody's judging them and they can say what they need to say, that's worth it alone right there, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Because I know I didn't have a spot like that. I
Particularly,
go to my wife, she'd be like, what are you
you
complaining about?
can't. Right. Yeah, there's not, even if people don't see it as judgment, it's still taken as it's not comfortable or it's not, I don't want to use the word safe because I'm not a fan of the word safe, but for want of a better word, it's not safe. For whatever that means. But to have that, to be able to say it out loud, it has to be the first step in even addressing it, because the little voice, as you described before, is in with all of this other stuff. To be able to like, I did. You were talking about Tony Robbins before we started recording, and a friend of yours. Did the UPW program in London, 2006 maybe, and then was on staff for a couple of years afterwards. And the process that he's got there, I forget what the exact process is called, but this idea of overwriting the message with an e-message, and it's ingrained in, and you have to understand that it's just habit, it's just track, it can be overwritten. So to have a space where you can start that journey and say things out loud and then react and respond to those things in a kind of conscious, thoughtful way. I mean, that's something that people need the ability to go through.
Yeah. And let me just give you one tool today that like I learned because now I'm not all these thoughts because my wife brings something to me and I want to go fix the problem immediately. Like I don't even hear what she's saying. Like it feels so uncomfortable for me that she's uncomfortable
Right.
that I just start doing shit. Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So we created this thing called the HHH principle. She starts talking to me and I can tell she's having a hard time. Do you want me to hear you? Do you want help or do you want a hug? Hear, help, hug. And I
Right.
go, I never asked that question. You know what I would do? I would go, hey, you know what you should do? We're going to do this and they're not going to do that to you. And I'm going to do this and we're going to do that. And she didn't want any of that.
Yeah.
Nada, nothing, zero, zilch. You know what she wanted? Me to hear her. 9 out of 10 times, she just wants me to hear her at the end of the day. And
Right.
I come home
And not do anything.
wasted from slaying dragons all day at
Yeah.
work. Like, and
Or
oh, by the
juiced
way,
up, fired up.
I'm on my phone. Uh,
Right.
you know what her love language is? Quality time. And you know what I'm giving
Okay.
her? Acknowledgments and Gucci shoes. And she doesn't care about any of that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
None of
Yeah.
it. Zero, not
It's
a zilch.
such a challenge, and for you to have brought together some of this knowledge into something that people can start that journey to an answer, a resolution, or a change of perspective. At least I'm excited to be along for the journey and see those 50,000 people respond and eyes open and take that next step. Time always goes fast on these podcasts. We definitely need to follow up with another one. But in the meantime, where can people go to get a copy of the book? Which, I mean, can't recommend it enough.
Yeah, lifeonallcylinders.com. You made sure that I got that. That was part of the system and the strategy. I wrote a book and you were giving me marketing tools on the front end. Like I couldn't find it, I couldn't had it, I had to go buy it. It was worth like you told me how important that was to have Life on All Cylinders, the name of the book matched the name of the URL. And like I had to grapple
Just
with it. I
makes it
would
more
have given up.
consistent.
Yeah,
Right.
but I
Streamline
wasn't
it.
doing any of that because
Yeah.
that alone, I go, these guys are worth every penny. By the way, I think you should raise your price. After I'm done doing my 10 books with you, then raise your price.
That's
You're
it.
way too
Everyone's on a
cheap.
countdown.
You're way too cheap. No,
Uh,
your price doesn't match the value. Sorry. It's just not even close. And I bought a pro one and I would have paid 10,000 for that. Seriously.
yeah, thank you. It is something, especially when we look at the competition, it's something we struggle with all the time. But
I didn't even
again,
know there
like
was
you being
competition.
passionate, it's right. Well, they're less good. It comes to the right place. But like you with the program that you've got, it's difficult separating yourself from the passion of wanting to do it versus the all of the commercial other stuff.
Well,
Anyway,
I also want to give my email out, Gary at
yeah,
Life on All Cylinders, because I want to hear from people. If anything like resonated, if you're struggling, like I have time, so I like talking to people, and most people don't reach out, and that's fine. But that's why I offer my personal email, Gary at Life on All Cylinders, and I want to hear like, hey, if I can help you with your book, because I help a lot. I've already probably referred you to 20 people already, because I can't believe it. Like my other companies as
thank you.
well using it.
Yeah,
And, just because it's like, it's insane on the value that you're creating and the structure that you give people, especially if you've never been published before. Like, that's if you've never been published, the guidance that you give on what's truly important, that alone is worth the investment.
yeah. I joke sometimes saying when I was back in the UK, I imported a car from Japan, a little Mitsubishi FTO, a little sports car, imported it from Japan. And it was a hugely painful experience. I had to jump through stupid hoops that the second time I did it, if I were to ever do it again, it would have been so much more seamless because I knew what all of the potholes were in the catches. And so I liken it to this. I never imported another car and I moved to the US. But books, if I can help you avoid some of those potholes or some of those retests or some of the unnecessary costs, then that's a win.
Here's what I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'll make sure that in the show notes on the podcast player and on the website, the links to the email and the website are both going to be there. So just one click away for people.
Love it. I want to leave people with this. I'm a street kid from New Jersey. You know, I'll save you like, trailer park. When I tell people trailer parking, working in a corporation for 50 years and missing teeth are like my ancestors. And God love them. They did the best they could with what they had. But I want to share this story and I humbly share it because it just gives people a possibility. I think, Stuart, we forget to dream. And part of our process is you have to write down 100 dreams. And there's difference between goals and dreams. Goals are I want to weigh 175, cholesterol one. Those are goals. Those are like achievements to get to. Dreams are experiences that we have, right? So one was catch a salmon in Alaska and with my family, and we cook it at night at sunset. And we did that. My son goes,
Nice.
"When's the next dream?" And like it manifests itself. Like, and
Yeah.
my number one dream is to design a 911 convertible Porsche, go to Stuttgart and drive it on the track and drive it on the Autobahn and then get it shipped back. And I am going to live my number one dream. I'm leaving next week to do that. And I
Ah,
share this with
fantastic.
people just because you can do it too. Right
Yeah.
here, this says whether you think you can or you think you can, either way, you're right. And yeah, Henry Ford, he's like the guy that started all the cylinder stuff. And life on all cylinders is possible for all men and families and workplaces that they impact.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. Like I say, 50,000 people are impacted by this. It's going to be a meaningful difference. And there's a lot of stuff that people can pick up on, whatever their starting point is in the journey, anchor onto that, and then go further. Thanks again for your time. It always goes fast. We'll definitely have you back on and do an update. Everyone listening, check out the links in the show notes. So there'll be a link to the website and to Gary's email address. I highly recommend reaching out. It's like you said, he's got the time to answer. So grab him while you can. Gary, thanks again. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you all in the next one. Okay.